Welcome, listener. You have found Women, Land, and Food. I'm Karen Brightly, and this is season 1 of a new podcast, sharing conversations I've had with women who have close connections to the land that sources every bite of food we eat every day of our lives. My hope for Women, Land, and Food is that these women's experiences hit your heart like bursts of energy the way they did mine. That's what happened to me as I dug into this idealized place called Vermont and started following my dream of owning and stewarding land and met our season 1 guests. Digging together into these women's stories, their hard work, their unique perspectives, and their rooted lives, we reconnect these two realities, food and land, and it turns out that really matters. And it's too good not to share. We hope it mirrors some stirring quest in your lives, too, and offers energy and inspiration to make some bite-sized change. Like, did you know that we, you, me, and all our sisters, control 93% of all the food dollars spent in this country? Turns out we have another superpower to save the world 3 times a day through stuff we already do: shopping, cooking, and eating. And then we hope that the podcast delivers some shared moments of peace and vibrancy, connecting with women whose grounded lives help us get more from this survival exercise we call eating. Their perspectives refresh our awareness that we're here to be fully nourished and to figure out what that means, and to help us put down our own deep roots and to grow our own deeply satisfying lives. Because now, maybe more than ever before, what we choose really matters for our bodies and souls, our families and communities, and for our shared home on this planet. Welcome to Women, Land, and Food. Listener, our conversation with today's guest, Becky Castle, came about through one of the coolest things about living in Vermont and will sound so random until I explain. We wanted to change a lot about our lives when we came here. One thing was to choose a regional bank for a lot of reasons, but one of them is to pull our money out of institutions that invest in giant oil companies. And we found Mascoma, a phenomenal institution that's a B Corp and runs like banks are supposed to run. It survived the Great Depression, is incredibly safe with our money, even though its security protocols make me nuts, but they're worth it for the safety. It reinvests in the local community, and coolest of all, you know people at the bank, and they know you by name. And if something goes wrong, and in the film business it always does, you can get someone on the phone, and they even give you their mobile number. Okay, shameless plug for Mascoma Bank. The other cool thing Mascoma did for a while was offer product samples from other B Corps. So you get to that errand where you have to go to the bank, maybe skipping lunch or getting to the end of the day, and you grab a sample of Cabot cheese, or if you're my nieces, a single serving of Plain Jane, or Raspberry Beret, or Anger Management, or if you're my husband, Crystal Blue Persuasion. These ice creams are from Sisters of Anarchy. So when we were self-catering an event for actors and investors who came to a staged reading, we wanted to show off the best of Vermont. I wanted single-serve ice cream. I checked another brand, the big one, known internationally, and it was a no-go. But I had a bank errand, and my solution was staring me in the face, and I called Sisters of Anarchy marketing person and ended up not just picking up amazing ice cream that wowed our guests, but meeting Becky and finding we had more in common than I could have imagined. So after that long and winding road, let's get there. Becky, thanks for breaking away from the wild demands of all the plates you spin, and welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
So I'm just going to do some deep dive.
Perfect. That sounds great.
So first and foremost, who are the sisters?
So we named the brand after our 3 children, whom we've always called the Sisters of Anarchy. I mean, since they were little, we always joked that they created chaos in our world and continue to do so. Ironically, now all of my kids prefer not to use she, her pronouns. So they call themselves the Siblings of Anarchy. And I said, like, you can use whatever pronouns you want, of course, but we're not changing the name because we have, tens of thousands of dollars of pre-printed packaging. So the brand is named after my kids.
Identity at a price.
Yeah. But they've been involved in pretty much every aspect of the business from the time they were really little, and they continue to be involved in various ways.
I find that fascinating because the anarchy has disrupted even their gender identity.
Yes.
That's kind of powerful. Like, you gave them a lot of leash, and it sounds like they're running with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things like you reap what you sow. So, like, we always encourage them to be doubting Thomases or Thomasinas, whatever.
Yeah.
And, tried to get them to really question everything. But as a parent, they really do question everything, including everything that we do.
Yeah.
So we
But that
gave them
keeps you
leash.
honest, right?
It keeps us honest. It can be a little annoying, but I'm glad that they're like that. They'll never get snowplowed.
The beautiful thing I'm hearing is they don't have to leave their family to do that.
Yeah.
They can stay connected.
Yes, exactly.
But I really want to hear more about your kids.
Oh, yeah.
Jobs they've done on the farm, jobs they're doing now, what they're
Yep.
thinking about. Like, where has the Sisters of Anarchy ethos taken them?
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, I think none of them want to be an entrepreneur. At least that's what they say, but I don't buy that. I think all of them will do something entrepreneurial in some regard. But one thing I would say about my kids and kind of what the farm has taught them, like the work ethic that they have and the understanding of the challenges of running a business have really put them in a good position. Like,
It's in their blood.
it's
They
in their
know it.
blood. Like,
They think like owners.
they do think like owners. And I think that's exactly it.
Yeah, you can't teach that. You have
Yeah.
to live it. So, what jobs have they done on the farm?
Everything. I have a picture of them planting blueberries from 2015. And then I took a picture of them like 5 years later in the same spot, which was kind of fun. So they planted things, they weeded things. My younger two kids worked for 2 summers picking berries, like on our berry picking crew. Their comment is, why would anybody ever pay to pick fruit? Like, their friends will be like, let's go berry picking. And they're like, why would we do that? We're picking berries for 8 hours a day is a lot different than just going to
Very
pick berries. They've scooped ice cream. So, I mean, they all, from a customer service perspective,
They know hospitality.
totally get it. And what else? They've worked on production. They've done packaging. My oldest is going to start doing social media for us. So pretty much everything. And then they've heard the kitchen table conversation about cash flow. And now, I mean, they're probably either super stressed about money or totally insulated from worrying about it because, like, there are literally like Fridays this summer where we had, $70 in the bank account on a Friday and then $10,000 on the Monday, just wild variations in cash flow. And so they don't get worked up when we happen to mention this. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. I mean,
Monday's
of course,
coming.
I'm actually stressed about it, but they now are insulated from that stress because they just are like, whatever.
Okay, so who were you before you came to Vermont? Where were you? What were you doing? How old were the sisters or siblings?
Yes. So previously I worked in global health and global health consulting, and my husband was in film and television. We were living in Pasadena, California, and we decided in 2011 that it was so far to be away from family. So we decided to move to Vermont. And when we moved to Vermont, we wanted to do something in ag, looked for existing businesses, but didn't find any. So that's when we bought the property. I continued to do global health consulting until May of 2023. So I had sort of 2 hats. I was running this consulting firm and also doing the farm.
Well, professional hats, and then you were
and
mom
also
and
a mom.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It was
welcome
crazy.
to being a woman.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Pasadena part was the first thing that I almost fell out of my chair about because you lived right down the street from our daughter's school. Like, we were in the town next to you. So many connections. And then the whole film and television thing, I think when we had dinner, we had sort of like, I see you.
Yeah.
It came from there to this place.
Yeah.
So that's my next question. How did you come to your land?
When we moved back here, I would say that it was more Bob's driving force. He wanted to do something in agriculture, and I was sort of initially kind of along for the ride, like, oh yeah, sure. He is from a dairy farming family in upstate New York. We knew that we didn't want to do dairy, so we spent like a year looking for existing ag businesses. We almost actually purchased the Charlotte Berry Farm, and we had a contract on it. But then we talked to various people, and it looked as though the Charlotte DRB was going to require us to get a lot of approval for different things, which
Shocking.
was not what was represented to us. So we ended up leaving that deal. And then we found this piece of land on Spear Street in Shelburne that didn't have anything on it. And so we started from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah. So we bought it in 2012 or 2013.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're coming up on 14 years.
Yep.
Do you have any animals on your land?
No farm animals. We have our dog, Bob Marley, who's sort of like a little Instagram famous. Like any post that I do with Bob Marley gets a lot of people. Like, yeah, they love Bob Marley.
And I love the music themes throughout everything you do. Okay, talk a little bit about the values. Like, why was Bob interested in land? And then what was it that you were caring about?
I mean, one of the main drivers when we purchased the land is we wanted something that we could do as a family and that our kids could be involved with. That was really important to us. And Bob did have this longstanding interest in agriculture because of his background. And then we knew when we purchased the land that it would be really difficult to have a sustainable business without having a value-added product. So we came to the ice cream because we were like, okay, we love ice cream. We had always hand-cranked ice cream, throughout the 25 years of our relationship. And it just seemed like ice cream would be a good fit. And so that's how we happened upon the fruit, because we were like, okay, we can do fruit with ice cream. So it was all part of the original plan that we would make ice cream.
That's so beautiful that you start with something you already love. What does it mean to survive on your land? And then with that, how do you stay connected to the land and to those original values?
Right.
When clearly, like, you're empire building.
Right.
I see Sisters of Anarchy everywhere. You're growing. It seems like at an incredibly rapid pace.
Yep.
Like you're like the next Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah. So when we first started, Bob and I and our kids, to like a small extent, did everything. We cleared all of the rocks from the field. Like we did, all of the rounds of cover cropping.
Okay, wait. How did you explain that to young children?
We didn't. We just would say like, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
But so we did like everything, and it was easy to be connected, but also totally overwhelmed because we had no help. I mean, we even built the driveway ourselves. So there was nothing on the land. Like we built the driveway, put down agricultural cloth, put down, stone dust,
all the stone, yeah,
everything. We put in all of the first plants for the first 2 years. So we've added, over time. Now we have about 35,000 row feet of fruit.
Whoa. Wait, which fruit did you start with?
We started with blackberries, blueberries, and raspberries. And we would put in like 1,500 row feet of each of those each year, more or less. We also planted 3 acres of grapes our first year that we planted, which was 2015.
3 acres is a lot of acres when you're doing it yourself.
Oh my gosh, it was really overwhelming. At that point, I really couldn't see like a viable path. I was like, oh my God, like what have we gotten ourselves into?
And did those first plants thrive? Did they start producing fruit? Are they still there?
They are still there. Although some of the raspberry canes, like raspberry canes have a life, like it's 8 to 10 years. We're at that point. So we're starting to replace some of the original canes with new canes.
And they also spread, right?
They do spread, but for raspberries, we don't allow them to go too far because you don't want to have like just this unwieldy, set of canes. You want to have it somewhat controlled. So we cut out or mow down canes that are kind of getting out of their lane. And then for blackberry canes, we cut out like a certain number. So you only have a certain number of flora canes or fruiting canes per foot. But going back to the original question, I don't know that I stay very well connected to the land at this point because I'm so busy with everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there when I'm driving in and I see everything and I can appreciate how the rows look as I drive down Spear Street. But I do very little at this point with actual plants. Like that's much more of Bob's piece and I'm much more on like the marketing and business side.
So sidebar, I know the men that we're married to have a lot of similarities in that they've both done the jousting match with Hollywood. But I think their paths diverge greatly because we put in exactly one raspberry bush.
Yeah.
And when it bore exactly one raspberry, my husband declared himself a gentleman farmer.
That's awesome.
And then, that was that.
Yeah.
So the fortitude and the determination, for Bob at least, sound like they were transferable concepts and that that he's taken full advantage of your skill set as well.
It's been like, I mean, we frequently comment on that if this would not be a successful venture without both of us working on it, because we have very complementary skill sets.
Right.
And we really don't overlap very much in terms of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when we do overlap, there's sometimes tension.
Sure.
Like we had to set some guardrails, like, no talking about business before 8 a.m. or after 8 p.m, because it really can just like overtake your life in every conversation.
Yeah.
And I would say we're pretty boring at this point, and that like we don't have very diverse interests because we're just so busy with the business.
Well, with that much work, you're sleeping between 8 and 8 on the other side.
Exactly.
So,
right.
To survive. One of the things I was thinking about when I was thinking about you connected to land is that during the fruiting season, you host like an on-farm party, basically.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, because even if you're not connecting to land, other people are.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that people appreciate about coming to our farm is that like we're a working farm. It's not like we have like our ice cream scooping area and then the farming area. It's all kind of surrounded. So I think people like watching what's going on. Like if we're cutting out canes, there's a tractor going by with a trailer with a bunch of, raspberry canes. Yeah, it doesn't stop. And then we have these Friday night events with the food truck and live music. And I think people like that too, because like you're basically surrounded by the fruit. And it's really cool. Like you can look out, there's like a nice open field. But then if you look the other way, there's all of these fruiting plants.
The hill.
Yeah.
I drive by that hill and I'm just like, when he meets Santa Claus, he's like, I know him.
Yes.
Just joyful.
Yeah. So I think people like that they can see like what's going on and how the fruit is produced. And it's right there.
Yeah. And you're living it. You're living the themes of our podcast, women, land, and food. I would love to hear how that's intersecting in your life.
Well, the food piece, I think, is kind of the biggest focal point in what we're doing. We've created this ice cream brand. It's, as you mentioned, like it's a growing brand. Being in a consumer packaged good world is challenging because all of the other players in it are huge. And I think, being a land-based business is a big challenge, in addition to being a CPG, and then, being a woman.
Wait, CPG?
Consumer packaged good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anything you buy in the grocery store that has a package is a CPG. And then being a woman that's also in ag and in CPG, like I would say it's a big challenge. I don't want to sound like all gloom and doom, but like the biggest challenges we face are, access to capital. I think a lot of places give lip service to like, oh, we want to buy from local businesses or woman-owned businesses or BIPOC businesses. But, when push comes to shove, I think it's a lot of bullshit. Like, I don't really think that a lot
You're
of
not
entities
finding those investors.
No, definitely not. I mean, ultimately, we did raise money 2 years ago, and there were a lot of local entities that, purport to be interested in land and food and like disadvantaged owners, and not one of them invested in us. They all thought we were too risky. We ultimately got our investors from friends and families, and then also some entities that are our customers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
there's a story.
That was really interesting to me. I mean, like, I thought that was compelling that the people who really knew intimately what we were doing were like, we want to bet on these people. Like, we're betting on Bob and Becky. And then the local investors that say like, oh, we want Vermont land, food, women, BIPOC. They were just full of shit, honestly.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, it's greenwashing, right?
Or it's
gender washing,
it's
or
totally
whatever.
greenwashing.
Yeah. Well, in any land-based enterprise is susceptible to the things that we're all living through, but they hit you the hardest.
Yep.
How have this couple of flood years been? I mean, back to back on the same date.
The floods didn't affect us that much. So our land is pretty high. Shelburne hasn't had, like, I guess in summer of 2024, Heinsberg got 6 inches of rain in one day. And I guess we got a lot, but nothing flooded. We did lose like maybe 2,000 row feet of raspberries because the soil wouldn't drain. But that's like a pretty small, impact. I think what affects us more is just the cost pressure is unbelievable. So we, try to pay competitive wages, and I think we do, but they've gone up significantly. I mean, I would say 25% over the last 3 years. Then, insurance costs are way up, partially because all these insurance companies are paying out for big disasters. So they have to pass the cost along to all their customers.
So you're paying for the big disasters, even though
everybody's paying for the big disasters, really. And then things like vanilla, at one point it was $260 a gallon. Like in Madagascar, vanilla beans had been impacted by a natural disaster. So there's just like the cost pressures are just almost unbelievable. Like if I told you all of the costs associated.
Yeah. So instead of like going through the books, which I think would tell an amazing story, just give us the steps, the production steps for ice cream.
So we buy a custom mix from Kingdom Creamery, both a non-chocolate and a chocolate mix. They deliver to us every Monday. We have about 22 different flavors. We have a really fantastic production manager named Amy who does all of our production planning. We'll make slurries, from our fruit. So it's really fresh fruit. We don't cook the fruit. And I actually think that's what makes the flavor so great. And then
it does taste hand cranked.
Yeah.
Your ice cream has such a distinctive taste.
Yeah. I think it's like the raspberry beret really tastes like raspberries. The crystal blue persuasion really tastes like blueberries. And that's our goal. So whether we're growing the fruit and we're trying to grow as many of the flavor elements as we can, or purchasing the flavor elements from elsewhere, we try to get the best flavor elements we can. So like our vanilla comes from the Vanilla Bean Project, which is a small batch vanilla company. Like our chocolate chunks and the I Want Candy with Chocolate, the peppermint with chocolate, we make those chunks because we couldn't find anything that we thought tasted the right way. We make all of our own inclusions. The reason ice cream is great because there's a lot of like hand processes, but that's also a challenge because as you scale, how do you scale and become competitive on price if everything is still very like hand and small batch?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing, and this is fascinating to me, that there's an intersection between, and Dan Barber talks a lot about this in his ecology of hedonism or however he frames it. But this, when you go after the best tastes, it leads you down the path of sustainability. So talk about how that works. And also, like, let's keep going on these costs, like the packaging.
Oh my God. Well, we just did a packaging run the other day. It was like...
Because you have wooden spoons in your single serve.
Yeah, the spoon and the lid. Yep. Well, and the reason we went with the wooden spoons is there's this one company that will do the spoon and the lid. So we don't put the spoon in the lid. It comes that way from the manufacturer, which is awesome. But I think the wooden spoon is cool because it's also like a novelty, and
it's like our childhood.
Totally.
Yeah, it's nostalgic, but it's also a more sustainable solution.
Yep. But the packaging, like, it's interesting. People are like, is your packaging recyclable? And I'm like, I guess it is, but I don't know if people recycle like ice cream packaging. I have no idea. But packaging ice cream, there's sort of a limited number of ways you can package it because it has to be able to manage the cold. It has to be food safe. I mean, there's a lot of obstacles that you need to consider. So you don't have a ton of options when it comes to packaging a food.
Say you ever, not that you could, but if you ever wanted to challenge those standards with a solution that was, say, more sustainable.
Yeah.
What is that mountain you would have to climb? Is that like dealing with the FDA?
No, I mean, I think it's like I would have to become like a packaging
specialist,
an engineer or something.
Right.
Like to me, being a small business, like you can look for something that already exists, but it's pretty difficult to innovate around packaging.
Right.
We're already doing so much.
And then pay for it.
Yeah, we're farming, like we're making the product. Like I can't innovate packaging.
I think this is why I wanted to get into this so much because it's so fun to go to the bank and grab a single serving of ice cream.
Yeah.
And then to understand how it got into your hand.
Yeah.
And to talk to the farmer that cleared the stones from the field that planted the bush that has the berry where you make your own slurry so it actually tastes good.
Yep.
It seems like it should be priced a lot higher.
I mean, I think that we're priced very competitively for the amount of effort
Very
that
competitively.
goes into it. But we still get people who say, oh, it's so expensive. Like, I'm not going to pay $10 a pint for ice cream. And I'm like, I get it. That's a lot of money. But like, if you want certain ingredients, that's what it costs. I always think of it like, let's say, I really love Diet Pepsi, which is, I know, such a bad vice. It's so bad for me. Comes in a plastic bottle, all of that stuff. But that's like almost $3 for like just a bunch of junky water with yucky
With
stuff in it.
chemicals, yeah.
So I'm like, well, if our single serve costs $4 or $5.50, like it's really not that much money for what you're getting. Or like go to Starbucks, that's like $5 for some dirty water. So relative to the other things out there that you could be like spending your money on, I think it's a well-priced item.
As will become clear in later episodes, I really love our bank. Mascoma Bank was one of the first great discoveries we made when we moved to Vermont. Mascoma is a community bank supporting local businesses, nonprofit organizations, and customers around Vermont and New Hampshire. From everyday checking and savings products to mortgages and commercial lending, Mascoma Bank helps community members navigate all their financial challenges. They are also serious about personal engagement. You walk into a branch and they know your name. It's the type of customer service that we know and expect in northern New England, and they deliver. I'm proud and grateful that Mascoma Bank is supporting the inaugural season of Women, Land, and Food. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This episode of Women, Land, and Food is brought to you by Sodexo. As a global leader in food service, Sodexo is proud to support local through Vermont First, our commitment to sourcing and tracking local food across 12 Vermont accounts. Vermont First was founded in 2014 and has been recognized for championing best practices in farm-to-institution work. We do our best to live out our values, such as supporting Vermont's local economy through the creation of inclusive market opportunities that are accessible for local producers, including diverse-owned and small to medium-scale farm and food businesses. This is why we're especially excited to be sponsoring this episode that features one of our local producers, Sisters of Anarchy Ice Cream. You can find their delicious Vermont-made products on some of our menus. Supporting local farms, women-led businesses, and sustainable food systems. It's what we're all about. Learn more about what we do either by following us on Instagram @Vermont First or checking out our website at vermontfirst.sodexomyway.com.
So our amazing producer, Elizabeth, is here in the studio, and she was just talking about the history of the pricing cost.
Yeah.
So, Becky, where did you start? Where are you now? Have you found your top limit is kind of what I'm wondering.
I think we're probably at our top limit. I mean, the other challenge on pricing is that as you add distribution, distributors expect you to really lower your price so that they can offer a competitive price to their retailers. So as much as possible, we're trying to do direct to retailers. So we've started to drop ship our items to retailers and specialty food shops in other locations. And because we're the only dry ice producer in the state, we can do that in a cost-effective way. And then from a sustainability perspective, we actually have the retailers, we provide them a pre-printed label and we have them ship the box back to us so we can reuse the box like a number of times. Because foam, EPS, is like the only thing that will keep ice cream cold enough. And then we also have a local partner that we can recycle the foam with.
Oh, excellent. You know, for not having time to research solutions, you seem to have taken some time to find some good ones.
Yeah. Well, I did have an investor ask me like why we weren't using a different packaging and really nothing, like ice cream has to be at -5 degrees or below and no other packaging would keep it cold enough.
So let's do the pricing thing.
So the pricing, I think it stayed like we really haven't increased our prices very much. Like when we started selling prepackaged items was 2019. So
before that,
we were only scooping.
like farm stand.
Yeah, we were farm stand. And then we also had offsite catered and vended events. we still do, about 200 catered and vended events each year, mostly catered. And then our farm is open. So the first, like from 2016 to 2019, it was almost all scooped ice cream with hardly anything prepackaged. And then 2019 is when we started shipping our ice cream, which is when we started packaging it. And then COVID really forced us to sell ice cream through retailers. But I think that was a good, that was a good outcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't raised our prices that much. The volume has offset, has allowed us to continue doing well because like our volume is increasing. So we started out at a high point and we've kind of stayed at that point. I think we're still probably pretty high in the marketplace, but other brands are definitely catching up. And we will look at raising costs probably in the coming year.
Yeah.
Or raising prices, not costs. Costs are going to go up anyway.
You can't control that one. Okay, did we finish the production
Not
cycle?
really. I would say everything in our production is very hand touched. So our coffee ice cream, the way we make it is we put the coffee grounds into the mix, let it steep, and then we strain it out. That's a very hand process. But as a result, the coffee ice cream tastes like coffee. It's really, really strong. It's not like some syrup. I think a lot of other ice creams out there, they get syrups from a flavor house and it's like a coffee syrup. That does not taste the same as putting actual grounds into the mix.
I think we are pushing the limits of the podcast right now to not be able to share these flavors with everyone. If you're in Vermont, or actually you can ship now everywhere, right?
Yeah, we can ship anywhere in the U.S.
Okay. Website is
sistersofanarchyicecream.com. Make sure you include ice cream because Sisters of Anarchy apparently is a porn site. So,
technical distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's stay focused. People. It is anarchical. Okay. Do you mix on your premises?
What do you mean mix?
Do you have a factory elsewhere?
No,
or
no.
Are you on site?
All of the ice cream is made on site at our farm.
And then you're freezing and storing until shipping is there.
Yeah, we have a lot of pallets of both our fruit and also our ice cream at the frozen storage warehouse in Williston. So part of the process is picking the fruit. We can't store all of the fruit on the property. So we pick usually 4 to 5 days a week during harvest season. And then every day we go to frozen storage warehouse and put fruit there so that we have it for future use.
Wow.
And then on site, we have 2 huge walk-in freezers and a walk-in fridge, and then 20 other freezers. We had to upgrade our electrical just to accommodate all of the freezers that we have.
So I'm hearing you're dealing with volume in a growing season that's relatively short compared to other parts of the world.
Yeah.
And can't be stretched
right
to match the volume of product that you're shipping out. So how far in advance are you planning your quantities?
So far, until now, we've actually sold fruit to other value-added producers. So Skinny Pancake buys a lot of their fruit from us.
Nice.
Going forward, I think we'll probably do less of that over time because we'll be using more of our fruit in our own product. And we're actually in the process of building a baking facility. So we'll be making pies and hand pies, which I think is a perfect fit with ice cream.
I was in love with you before, but now I need to ask you to marry me.
Yeah.
She said the word pie.
I know. Right. And so our little barn, by next summer, we'll have converted that into a retail space. So instead of getting ice cream from our trailer in the field, we'll have a scooping window. And then you'll also be able to go inside and get pies and other products. Or if you want a hand pie with ice cream on top, it's going to be
Options.
Dessert central.
Oh my gosh. She's right up there with cake and pie.
I know.
It's a constant neck and neck.
Yeah. And so we're in the process of developing our pie recipes. We made our first blueberry pie last week and it was spectacular.
How fun.
Yep.
Okay. Now you're into sourcing flours and shortenings or a fat. And all of that, plus storage, plus.
I'm sure, for our flour, I know we're going to use King Arthur. They're actually one of our customers, so our ice cream sandwiches are at King Arthur. We already use their flour in our cookies. And so, there's no question.
It's Vermont magic.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is.
Yeah.
Bakers everywhere. I hope you know your incredible product is coming from Vermont.
Yes.
I'm making a list of all the businesses that you also run in addition to quote unquote farming.
Yep.
I did want to ask about one side product.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're still doing them, but your health syrups.
Oh, yeah. We still make the wellness syrups.
So good.
I know. I think they're really good. We have put zero effort into marketing them. So they continue to just sort of plod along. And we do sell them, but I don't think the syrup business has grown at all in the last few years, only because I haven't invested any time or effort in marketing.
We need to find a wellness outlet for you because I think you were doing them through COVID, right?
Yeah.
I think that's when I first found them, when everybody was boosting immunities and looking for locally sourced anything.
Right. The COVID summer of 2020 afforded us the time to finally do our first bottling run. So that's when we bottled.
Another packaging challenge.
Yeah, but there's a place called the Center for Ag Economy in Hardwick, and they have a kitchen that producers can rent out. So they have a 60-gallon kettle and a bottling line. So that's where we bottle the syrups.
That's nice. That's another transportation issue.
Yeah. So if we bottle syrups, it's not an easy thing. We go with all of our bottles, all of the juices, all of the honey that we're going to use. And then, we bottle it all and then put it back in the boxes, put it back in the trailer, and bring it back.
Who sources your honey?
We buy our honey from Champlain Valley Apiaries, which has hives at our farm.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So you're in the bee business, just not
Yeah, we
yourselves.
aren't doing anything with the bees, but they've had hives there from the very beginning. Yeah.
Which is so good for all of us.
Yep.
Thank you. See, all these value adds, some of them are hard costs you have to bake into your ice cream, but others of them are these, soft values that there should be a little tax on them. Just pay for goodness in the world because you're buying this product.
Yeah. We learn something every year that we're doing this, and there's a lot of stuff we don't know, but every year tasks get a little bit easier. But to me, we have a really awesome team. I think we finally found the right kind of person that fits with our business. But now, I think the team we have in place, they all have previous expertise that really helps. And that's the only thing that allows us to do this. Because we have an awesome fulfillment person named Bryce. He used to be in the grocery world. And Amy, our production manager, used to run a bakery. She is extremely, detail oriented. So she does her thing. And I think she appreciates that we don't
get in her way.
Get in her way. We check in with her. I view it more we're a resource to the people that work for us. And then we have two really awesome guys on production whose names are Matt and Sean, and they're terrific. They get the job done. And then we also have 7 H2A workers from Costa Rica who do all the farming. So as we've grown, we've added new positions and new people that allow us to grow and allow Bob and me to preserve our sanity to some extent. But I think that we're delegating responsibility and then really letting people run with it.
I want to do this other sidebar. I had just done this event with Milk with Dignity, and we talked about where your milk is being sourced and your eyes on quality control there. And you started telling me about your H2A workers.
Oh, yeah.
Can you describe a little bit about what that program is, who these people are, and what their relationship with your family was and has become? Because this was so beautiful.
Yeah. So the H2A program is a U.S. Department of Labor immigration program. It's basically non-immigrant visa holders. A non-immigrant visa is H2A, H2B, J1. Those are all visas that allow people to come here and work, basically. So Legally, correct. So we started out 3 years ago with 4 H2A workers from Costa Rica. We became connected with them through Champlain Valley Hops, which had workers from the same area in Costa Rica. But in Vermont, it's really difficult to find anybody who will do agricultural work. So there are some farms that don't have H2A workers, but I would say at this point, most sort of larger farms or even medium farms or small farms all have H2A workers.
And why is it hard to find people to do the work?
I think people have a romantic view of agriculture that doesn't jibe with the reality of it's really hard work. It's dirty, it's sweaty, it's exhausting. So I think people who think they want to do agriculture do it for a few days and then are like, ugh, I don't actually want to do this.
Right. That was fun.
Yeah.
Check it off the list.
Versus, I think people from pretty much not every other country, but so many other countries, they're desperate for work and they can come here and earn a great wage. And the way it works in H-2A workers, the employer pays for housing, airfare, the visa, and a wage. So basically they can go home with all of their wage. So like the current wage for Vermont is $17.80 an hour for H-2A workers. And I think even like a decent kind of middle class job in Costa Rica maybe is like $5 to $7 an hour. So they're making almost 3 times as much and taking it all home or sending it all home. So it's really amazing for them.
And how long are they with you?
I think they can come for up to 10 months, but when we do like a job order with the
Bureau.
Yeah, then we have to designate like this group of people is coming from July through October or March through November.
And so same people have been coming?
The same people have been coming. So usually like there's 1 or 2 people differences each year because sometimes people are like, you know what, I'm going to stay here in Costa Rica for the
life
year
happens.
or whatever. But yes, generally the same people come every year.
So you've really gotten to know these people.
Yeah, we've really gotten to know them and I so appreciate what they do for us. I mean, but it's like a symbiotic thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting something great out of it. We're getting something great out of it. And we definitely couldn't do what we're doing without them.
I think it's so important for those of us who eat food to understand this element of our economy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too political here, but when I think about our immigration system, it's so distorted. And I can't remember what candidate or like how this came up in public conversation recently, but I think it might have been a senator, not one of our senators, was like saying that they wanted to limit the number of H-2A visas. And it's like, why? Like these people are actually allowing our food systems to work. If it weren't for them, we definitely wouldn't have
eat.
food. Yeah, there wouldn't be food anywhere. So it gets more and more difficult to go through the visa process each year because I think there are some bad actors in other places of the country that don't treat their workers well or don't pay them or whatever.
Right.
But generally, I think most, farms using H-2As are following the rules and doing right by the people that work with them.
And do they come out and look at your farm and say, where are these people sleeping and how's it going?
Yeah.
And,
so the Department of Labor in Vermont comes and inspects their housing, and there's very specific details around like what the housing needs to look like.
What are some of those?
Oh, like you have to have 100 square feet per person. There has to be a bathroom with a door. I mean, like the most basic things. I think the housing we're providing is really nice.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's some places that have legacy housing that's not as nice.
It's so amazing to hear a farmer with the value added that makes farming possible, right? Without that, you couldn't stay in business. We couldn't eat, much less amazing ice cream.
Yeah.
And that you recognize the value of these workers to your product, our economy, our shared existence.
Yeah. I am very sympathetic, though, to dairy farmers who have been in business for a long time because dairy pricing is really difficult. And there have been years where dairy farmers have been operating at a loss. And so like they have pressures that I don't think any of us can imagine.
And we're going to need to, on this show, get into that because I think now we're touching on the politics of the Farm Bill and how arcane it is and how many corporate interests are layered onto that are making it impossible for the farmers that stay close and connected to whatever their product is, but especially dairy.
Yeah.
It makes sense that dairy farms are like evaporating. I talked to a woman who is at the UVM food systems intersection. So she's an academic and she's been researching this. And she basically said there have only been, it's a well-kept secret, but there have only been sort of 2 times in the history of Vermont where agriculture has actually flourished. One was a season of the sheep farming back at the turn of the century.
Right.
And the other was like sort of, I think 50s, 60s when dairy farms were actually working before the whole get bigger, get out thing came through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Since then, there's been incredible undertow
Mm-hmm.
in the food pricing mechanisms of our
Right.
country that
Yep.
keep us detached and oblivious to the quality levels that have
Mm-hmm.
also dropped,
Mm-hmm.
while the people who actually make sure I get to eat 3 times a day have to like take a second mortgage to stay in business.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, like going back to like if we were to talk about challenges, access to capital is massive. And Bob and I have totally extended ourselves financially,
Yeah.
like massively.
We just did that for the movie.
Yeah.
I'm right with you.
Yeah.
And
Like to
and
a
this is a
stupid
one-off.
degree.
This is
right?
like every minute of every
Yeah.
day for you all.
Yeah.
Well, deep empathy. So I really wanted to go back into this then, because on top, like we were talking the other day about, I don't know, some guy that had lost his wife or partner and all of a sudden had 3 kids on his hands. And,
Right.
and it, he's working this really difficult job and there was so
Right.
much sympathy. And I was like, you mean like every woman I've ever
Yeah, right.
met?
Exactly.
We just think it's so heroic when men do it.
It's like when my kids were little and I would travel for work and people would be like, how is Bob going to do it? And I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, he's their dad. Like nobody asks me when he travels how I'm doing
How are you going to do it, Becky?
Yeah, right.
How are you managing?
It's like different expectations, which I think most men are like, why should there be different expectations for me?
Right.
But society, like we all ask that stupid question, like,
Right.
oh, how is he going to do it? And it's like how every woman has done it.
Since the beginning of time. Okay. What does it mean that you're a woman doing all of this?
I mean, I think there's definitely instances where I feel like my gender has an impact, both positively and negatively. Like from a people perspective, I think maybe it's my personality. Maybe it's that that I'm a woman. Like I'm definitely more of a gentle touch than Bob, but it could just be our personalities. Like I don't know if it's specific to
or your backgrounds. I mean, I'm thinking he had to come up through the cage match that is Hollywood.
Yeah, like the steel cage death match. Yeah.
Yeah. Versus you having, this global perspective where you've seen the world.
Right. And I guess there have been instances where I definitely felt like people were underestimating me because I was a woman. Like just as an example, all these catered events we do, we have huge generators and big trailers that we pull with trucks. And I can't tell you the number of times some dude would be like, can I help you with that? And I'm thinking, how are you going to help me? I'm the person that knows how to do this. This is all of the equipment I work with every day. What are you talking about?
Where have you been for the last 1,000 events I did?
Exactly. Right. So there's those instances. They're not very common, but, it does happen. And it always makes me pause. Or if we're buying a piece of equipment or a vehicle, Bob and I have just decided he's always going to do that, because he probably is better at that than I am, but also because I do think when you're a woman going in to buy some capital equipment, the seller frequently underestimates you or thinks, even if it's subconsciously, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and you're going to have to bully them into a better price regardless.
Yeah. So strategically, we just make decisions. Like sometimes Bob is just going to do something because we know that he'll get a better price, or like it will just be a more seamless process.
Have you run into instances where access to capital has been limited because you're a woman?
Yeah, I think the whole fundraising process, honestly. I mean, Bob and I both were participating in the fundraising process. I mean, I met with a local investor who he was so condescending. And I don't know if it was because I was in ag or because I was a woman, but he was just like awful.
Wait. I want to know how he was awful. Listeners want to know.
I just... So he was so convinced that he knew everything. And he was dismissive, like, well, farming's so risky and like we wouldn't want to invest in this. Ironically, that group had actually invested in a local tech company that I was a consultant to. And that year after that meeting, I made it my mission. I was like, we are going to have more revenue at our farm than that tech company is going to have. And that was like my goal, and we made it.
I love it. Congratulations.
But I mean, that probably speaks to why that tech company no longer exists. But it was just astounding to me that he was just cocky. And I thought, like, well, even if you had money to invest in us, I'm not sure I'd want to work with you because you're such a dick.
Yeah. And in the not-for-profit world, we'll say sometimes some money's too expensive.
Yeah. Well, in my not-for-profit consulting business that I ran, I had an older guy. He was like maybe 20 years older than I was. And frequently we would go into meetings together and people would defer to him, which I just let people do that because I'm like, I actually don't care if they know I'm the boss or not. I know the value I'm adding. But over time, they would recognize like, oh, like she actually has valuable stuff to say. And oh, we're paying the check to her company, not his company.
P.S. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's inevitable that as a woman, you encounter that. And I think for young women, it probably happens a lot. So I hope that when my kids go into the workforce, that won't be the case. But I feel convinced that I'm not sure things will have changed that much in the next 4 or 5 years when they enter the professional workforce. But we were talking at dinner during the Me Too movement, and I said to my kids, I didn't know one single woman who hadn't had an inappropriate past or like sexual harassment or very unfortunately been raped. I literally didn't know one single person who hadn't experienced that. And I think almost every woman has, probably every woman has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely all the women in this room.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Not to get too dark.
No, that's exactly like the peeling back these layers that we're here for. We need to move into the rapid wrap up. So here we go. How do you describe family right now?
Oh, well, Bob and I are at home with just one of our kids. Our youngest is a senior in high school. So I sort of feel like we've moved into this adult phase of parenting where our kids are fully formed people. They still need some help and support, but they're like so fun to hang out with. So yeah, that's how I describe family.
I love that. This is the Miss America question. What do you dream for yourself in the world? That can be one answer or two.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. For myself, like being at peace with myself, I'm like a very high energy person. And I think with that comes a lot of anxiety and sleepless nights. So I just, like finding peace myself is good. And like for the world, I would love for there to be more equity. I think being in business, you do see like, our business might be like sustainable from a financial or like an agricultural perspective, but like the price point, I'm not really doing anything to help, world hunger. It's like a very expensive premium product. But I would love for there to be more equity, just sort of generally at all levels, like economic equity. And, I think that COVID really exposed sort of the big cracks in our society.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I've heard very similar answers from a number of our guests that there's this sense of like rest or peace.
Mm.
And I think farmers both need it more, but also maybe find it more just because of the demands of the job, which is fascinating to me. And then I think it kind of goes back to what it takes to survive on land, that your value-added products have to have a high price point.
Yes. Well, especially if you're farming in Vermont, you really have to have that high price point.
Right. And so then we get into food politics and food justice.
Right.
And then when it intersects with climate change, I think one of the things you're doing that may not feel like it and you may not be able to touch it is that you're doing so much that is local. And so having enough people with the income to buy your products is huge. And then as you find your cash flow points and your investors and your, profit margins, then you have choices for how to do your give back. But by staying local, you're actually helping one of the most invisible inequities in our world, which is climate change. I heard Bill McKibben lecture, and he said that 40% of our fossil fuel consumption in the world right now is coming from moving fossil fuels through shipping.
Oh, yeah, I totally believe that.
When I can ride my electric bike to your farm
Right.
for a scooping event,
Yeah.
it is like it's stopping the monsoon that like the weather system that flooded us last year ended up in a monsoon in, I think, North Africa somewhere where a river flooded and took 10,000 people out to see where they were drowned.
Right.
And they didn't cause the climate change.
Right. Yeah.
So I think this local thing is just powerful. And when you're looking for that peace and centeredness, that can be one of the threads.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, that was a long conversation around a rapid wrap-up question.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to know more about some of the things we talked about today, what Google terms should they search? We already got the packaging one.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Such a good question.
Oh, tell us about the music overlay.
Yeah. So Bob is really into music, and so that's why a lot of our flavors have music-inspired names. And then we also, with our kids as the talent, recorded our own theme song. So if you go onto the website...
we'll definitely put that link up.
Yeah, definitely put it up. You could even play a little bar of it. It's a very fun, catchy jingle. And I think ultimately we'll want to record another theme song at some point in the future. Yeah. But music is a big thing. And then as people go to our website, they'll see like women's empowerment and celebrating cool women doing cool things is another theme. Yeah.
That's very fun.
Yep.
Okay. What's your favorite food?
I love lasagna. I know it's very high carb, but I do love it.
Yeah. What's not to love?
Yeah. So lasagna is my favorite food.
Sticking with lasagna. What's your favorite animal?
I think dogs.
What's your favorite holiday and or way to celebrate?
Thanksgiving is by far my favorite holiday. It has all the benefits of Christmas and none of the hassle. So it's like basically just eating great food and hanging out with friends and family.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
I love the I Want Candy with Chocolate. It's our fresh peppermint with the homemade chocolate chunks. It's really sublime.
Wait, what are the chocolate chunks?
The chocolate chunks, we make big sheets.
Describe slowly and in great detail.
Yes. So we make big sheets of soft chocolate and then we break them up with a mallet so that there's these big irregular chunks of chocolate in the ice cream. And then the peppermint part of the ice cream, we steep the peppermint and make like a simple syrup and put that in our ice cream. It's really good.
How do you take care of yourself so you can keep going?
Well, not always well, but I'm trying to be better. So I'm trying to do more weightlifting. I'm trying to not drink any diet sodas or other liquid calories because I'm finding that at age 54, you can't do that.
There's this really great berry syrup that you can get and put into your carbonated water.
I do actually do that. I drink a lot of our wellness syrup with ice and water or ice and seltzer. And then I'm trying to spend more time with friends, actively make plans with people to have that social connection.
I love that. Well, and the mocktail universe needs you.
Oh, yes, I know. But this comes back to time. If I had more time to market, I would be.
So anybody listening that has a corner on the mocktail market, we need to talk to Becky Castle at sistersofanarchy.com, not the porn
Sisters
site.
of Anarchy Ice Cream.com.
Icecream.com, not the porn site. Sisters of Anarchy Icecream.com. Last question. What on or about your farm brings you the most joy or delight?
I do love taking the farmer's tour. So just, doing a big walk around. The other day, I had some friends of friends visiting and I walked them around and gave them kind of the overview. And it does give me a nice appreciation to walk through and see what we've built.
Becky, I cannot thank you enough for coming on our podcast.
Well, this was so fun. What a great way to spend a morning.
Hey, sisters!
Hey, what?
Sisters of Anarchy Ice Cream!
Ooh.
Crank it, girl! Ice cream is crazy when we do it. Talking fresh as a daisy when we do it. We play by our rules, the ice cream resistors. You're talking about a wild child, you're talking about the sisters.
We ain't got cream, straight from the cow, we squeeze it. Berry dreams,
Women, Land, and Food is a Sister Camp production. Our producers are Elizabeth Brightly and Christina Samuelewski. Our studio engineer is John Toda, and we recorded at his studio, Syntax in Motion, and at Star Farm Studio, both in Burlington, Vermont. Our audio engineer is Bridger Dunnigan. Our 2025 summer intern is Marin Warshay, and our research assistant is Phoebe Woodall. Our music composer is Mike Coulter, who shared variations on his original piece called Seeing from his Confidence Head studio in Santa Monica, California. Land is our middle name, and our journey together follows our connection to land through food that grounds us and sources our lives.
Sisters of anarchy, crank up the berries, the flavor so serious, fun is delirious. So think reverse, eat dessert first, 'cause you never know